Hello and welcome to PepTalks, everybody. I am Eddie Pepitone, and it's a great day for a podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Steve Lally. Steve, say hello.
I always use a funny voice when I come on, and I don't really know what to say. I'd say if I say something boring in a funny voice, it'll work better.
That's my, hello, everybody. Hello, working class. Hello, people who used to be in the middle class, now in the working class, and also hello to the sellouts out there, people who are still doing quite well and living off the backs of people not doing well. By the way, and welcome everybody to Pep Talks. We're coming to you live from the ATC studios in Burbank. Don't try to find it; you'll never find it. It's a bunker underground.
We don't want you here. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
we like the solitude, solitary.
I like solitude. Do you like solitude? I mean, I know you haven't been laid since the accident. That's a different type of solitude.
It's involuntary solitude. You know when I do get laid, which I can't remember that, but going back to rake my memory for the old memories, I always think, I can't believe this is happening again. I don't know if this will ever happen again.
That's
when I'm having sex. Yeah, it's like a Depression era person with food, like Depression era, 30s women like drying out fish. Like drying out food so they could eat it, or freezing stuff, old Jewish ladies. That's how I am when I get laid, I can't believe this. I never thought this would happen again.
It sounds serial killery.
It's very, very
serial
sad.
killery. No, it's not. I hear you. I totally hear you. Sex is such an intense experience, and it's wild. It's sacred. Talk about intimacy, even though a lot of people can't even be intimate in the sexual act. Hello, everybody. I'm just thinking of people who are watching this live on YouTube, and they've just stumbled across it because they're YouTube addicts, and they're YouTube addicts. By the way, are a growing legion. Like YouTube addicts are a growing segment of the population. People who are addicted to YouTube, and they're letting their jobs go to shit and their families go to shit so they can watch like live Van Morrison concerts on YouTube or whatever they do on YouTube. YouTube is great though, huh? It's got a lot of good shit on it. No,
it's better than TV.
It's way better than TV, and I pay for television, but
you're the only
I pay
person
for cable.
Who still pays for television.
I'm such an
in
idiot.
The United States.
I'm such an idiot for like that. I throw away a lot of money every month. Every month I throw away a lot of money on shit like that. On shit like that.
TV used to be what, 5-6 channels, and all you had to buy was.
It used to be Channel 2. It used to be CBS, NBC, ABC. In New York, Channel 9 and 11. WPIX was Channel 11.
5 channels.
And WOR was Channel 9.
And all you had to do was buy the TV.
And Channel 13 was PBS, when PBS was actually, when PBS, unlike now, was actually like something that had great, countercultural, that had really good programming on it. Now, it's bought and paid for by the Koch brothers. So you're seeing,
I was born at the tail end of that. I was born when Sesame Street started coming on. So that was sort of the tail end of PBS.
Oh, you were born when Sesame Street was coming on?
Yeah, the 70s, late 70s.
Big Bird changed my fucking life.
What did he do?
Nothing.
That's all it took.
He was just like, what was Big Bird's voice? It was like, hey, Ronnie! It was like that, right?
That's how they all sounded.
Hey, Ronnie! Well,
it was like an impression of every Sesame Street character you just did, combined into one character.
Jim Henson was the creator.
Brilliant.
Right?
And the teaching that did, man. I mean, the amazing kind of entertaining, seamless, sweet, socialist, left-leaning. Like Shel Silverstein was like that with The Giving Tree. The Giving Tree?
Mm-hmm. Oh, The Giving Tree. What was that?
It was similar to but it was similar kind of sensibilities.
He did the thing about the mouse, right? The Holocaust.
I don't.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. No.
I forget what it was called. Shel Silver. I might not have been. What was it called? It was called Mouse.
Oh,
right?
Maus, Mouse.
You know what I'm talking about? Was that Shel Silverstein?
No, I think that's some.
That's funny. I've got it
that up.
totally wrong. And by the way, the reason why I get it totally wrong is because I'm trying to think of something now. It's because I am stressed out. I'm stressed out by the holidays. I'm stressed out by having to be woke for you people. I just tweeted today. I said, yeah, did you see this tweet I did today? It was like right between the eyes.
God,
that's funny. Yeah,
that's so fucked up that you would even ask me that. I see some of your. Was it the list?
That is so fucked up.
Was it the list?
No,
I saw the list today.
No, I said keep talking about Russia. Keep talking about
Russia,
I did
see your
you dumbasses.
Brilliant tweet. I saw your.
Keep talking about Russia, you dumbasses, while American corporations enslave you. So
yeah.
I have to be woke for you people. I have to be, along with a few other people, not many, who see through this fucking con about the Russians. It's a Red Scare thing again.
Yeah, except it's the boutique left doing the red.
I love poking the boutique left, man, because they're almost worse than the fucking.
They're equally bad.
They're
right.
Equally. Because they come off like they give a shit. You know?
They're worse.
Why?
Because there's a veneer of sophistication. There's a pretense of sophistication.
Yeah.
You know what they're like? They're kind of like the British fucking the Indians in India, but they wanted to seem liberal. You know, Gandhi got on, and he was raging. He goes, we don't trust their liberal.
Yeah.
Pretending to. They didn't want to seem unsophisticated. That's what was their downfall. The reason they could lay down in front of them anyway.
Right. I mean, and that's not to say that what we currently have in America, the Trump administration, they're the biggest pieces of shit, but they got in power because of boutique liberalism, because of the constant erosion of our democracy bit by bit since fucking Reagan. And Bill Clinton, part of this Clinton family, he was so integral in the downfall of our country, And so anyway, fuck the boutique liberals, right?
Yeah, that's Chris Hedges, I think, invented that. Your boy invented that term, boutique.
Was that his?
I love using that.
Yeah,
because it's a punch. It's a punch in the face. Because the language coming out of the boutique left is so benign. Mm-hmm. Even neoliberal, I hate that because it sounds.
No, neoliberal. By the way, is a term that it's. Neoliberalism is an economic philosophy that has ruined the fucking planet.
Yes, but it's so benign. Neoliberal.
I agree with you.
It doesn't.
I agree with you.
The jugular. I agree with you. We need to call them Republicans who like gay people. Solar panels on top of a gas station. These are
the boutique liberals. Yeah. I like solar panels on top of a gas station is such a great way to describe the lefty, quote unquote, the lefties who are the resistance,
right,
and don't attack what really needs to be attacked: the fucking military-industrial complex,
the banks, the corporations, the military-industrial complex, and powers and principalities.
By the way, me knowing more than you folks makes me feel superior. Superior. What is that? Superior.
That's why you can't get those gigs, man.
Because of that New York accent. But it does make me feel superior to people, and that's a bad thing. Like my ego.
Yeah, it feeds that dark.
My ego gets involved in this political shit, which is why I pull back from the political shit completely. Because my ego, it becomes like that fucking stupid social media fighting. Like I kind of was baiting people a little. I just get mad at all the Russian shit. And I'm super like so fucking mad at like someone like Rachel Maddow, who that's all she does is talk about Russian interference, and everybody and all these fake liberals are like, oh, Rachel Maddow. All right, we're going to read a little bit. What we're going to do now, and so anyway, I just want to say that if you don't understand the long con, the long con by the media, which is owned by billionaires, and billionaires fucking making you, with making you think that Russia is behind the collapse of your democracy. It isn't Russia who's behind the collapse of your democracy. It's your fucking American corporations. Read a book. We're going to read to you right now. This is Steve gave me this book. You introduced this book.
Yes.
And who this guy
John
is.
Fonte, Ask the Dust. John Fonte is a Italian fella from Colorado, I think
He's from
Colorado Springs originally, somewhere, or Denver, somewhere in Colorado. And he moved to L.A., and he wrote a couple of novels, which I've only read 2, to be fair, and this is one. And I discovered this guy because I love Charles Bukowski. And this guy is the, I guess, Eddie, you want to,
why don't you read?
Okay, I'll read the intro.
What we're going to do, no, not the intro, read something he wrote.
Okay.
What we're going to do each week for the next few weeks, if we remember to do it, don't hold me to this. Just because I'm telling you, an audience here, that I'm going to do something weekly doesn't mean it's going to happen. Okay. I'd like to do that as president. We are going to institute a plan to get everyone working again, if I remember. But we're going to read from a different book every week, random pages. So go ahead. It has to be random. You can't search.
Okay.
Go. This is John Fonte, Ask the Dusk, read by Stephen P. Lally.
We got to Wilshire, where the traffic was regulated to a minimum of 35. The Ford couldn't travel that fast, but she clung to the middle lane, and big fast cars shot around us. They infuriated her, and she took her fist and cursed them. After a mile, she complained about her feet and asked me to hold the wheel. As I did it, she reached down and took off her shoes. Then she took the wheel again and threw one foot over the side of the Ford. At once her dress ballooned out, spanked her face. She tucked it under herself, but even so her brown thighs were exposed to a pinkish underthing. It drew a lot of attention. Motorists shot by, pulled up short, and heads came out of windows to observe her brown naked leg. It made her angry. She took to shouting at the spectators, yelling that they ought to mind their own fucking business. I sat at her side, slouched down, trying to enjoy a cigarette that burned too hotly in the rush of the wind.
In the what wind?
In the rush of the wind.
Okay. That's now I had opened a book before, and it was also about a woman. So this guy, is he very sexually? Bukowski was very sexual too, right? I mean, like kind of sex obsessed. Is this guy sex
Not
obsessed?
to the level Bukowski is, but the book itself is about love. It's about falling in love with the woman. I mean, it's about 2 things. The guy, for not to ruin it for you, but the guy.
Spoiler alert about Ask the Dust. Margaret, they're not talking about Ask the Dust, are they? Yes, they are, Al. Ah, Christ, I hope they didn't give it away. Imagine all these people out there who are about to read Ask the Dust by John Fonte, which was written, thank you for that little inscription, this was written
1930s, 40s?
Oh my God, I didn't know it was that long ago, 1939.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was...
It's eerie how it could have been written today. That's why it's so great. Because it's the same...
Yeah.
It's like Bukowski. I mean, it could be written in any time.
So is it a coming of age? Like,
no, it's a struggling writer who can't make a living writing, and
you're talking my language.
He's in love with a girl who works at the Mexican girl who works at the diner, and he's trying to, but it just.
By the way, a lot of men fall in love with. I'm being serious. They fall in love with waitresses. You know why? Or the help. Help is a fucked up word to use, but like people, like women who work in
nurses,
service industry,
maybe? Like a nurse,
not nurses, I don't think, but like, and the reason is they fall in love with waitresses because it's like an easy way to have a fantasy. Like you don't really know them, You know what I mean? It's like, oh, she's really attractive. She's really pretty, and there's no real intimacy there. You know what I mean? It's like from afar. And even if you talk to them when they come to the table,
they could be pretending to like you.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But, it's just sort of a fantasy it's like a ritual. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
But it's a sad statement about us as men that we're so deprived of intimacy. We're self-deprived or for whatever the individual reason, that we're so desperate for that a waitress coming to our table.
Well, I think we're all deprived of love. We're all love-starved, I think we're all love-starved. Like we're creatures, who need a lot of love, and especially in a consumeristic, materialistic society that we live in America. And it's gotten crueler, and it's like it's all about the winners, in this culture. It's all about the winners, and you have to win and you have to achieve. And love is kind of, it's like, what people basically say these days? They're like, I don't have time for love. I got to make the money. You know what I mean? I don't have time for love.
In that voice, I heard it today already, twice on the bus. But
on the bus?
You don't ride the bus, but let me tell you.
No, I'll ride public
We need to do that
transportation,
together.
But I ride the subway out here in LA, shitty subways.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say to the guy, I always say to the guy on the bus or the woman driving, thank you for the ride. Thank you for the ride. Yeah, and
I do
sometimes
too.
Sometimes they don't hear it at all, or sometimes they pretend not to hear it, but sometimes it like makes their day. And it
really?
Yeah, and that shocks me. And then I think about it and I'm like, they didn't get any, like that person is so, nobody communicates with that person on a human level all day. And you just...
Well, that's horrible. I don't think that's true. You're not the only guy saying, hey, thank you, or hey, doing,
Well, I hope not, but
yeah.
I don't know what moves somebody when...
I guess you would love to think you are.
I mean, sometimes it feels that way. I'll have a small interaction.
Well, it's amazing how people just, you know what I was doing today? I sat down outside of an eatery to just I was sipping on my shitty little beverage, and I was relaxed, and I was just watching people walk toward me on the sidewalk. It was outside this little fucking table. I'm laughing because LA has such shitty outdoor cafes, where New York was really nice. Outdoor cafes, great people watching. Here it's not that great. But I was just, as people were coming toward me, I was just into this kind of Zen Buddhist head of oh, look at this creature. Instead of because we just interact with each other in this very preconceived, very defensive way. We can't look at each other without feeling an egotistical, either we put up a wall. Trump says he wants to build a wall, right? The walls are built already around all of us.
That's beautiful. Wow.
I'm laughing
because you're impressed with your own.
Because I'm laughing at that kind of pseudo poetry, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
I was in this head where my defenses were down, for whatever reason, my defenses were down. And I was watching this person come toward me, and it was very hard not to put up my wall once they looked at me, because we don't want to seem weak is a big thing. Vulnerability is a big thing. We were talking about being vulnerable. I want to talk about this. Is that me and Steve, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, that we were talking about being vulnerable on stage as a comic. And you know what? I think partly I was full of shit, because when I get on stage, I'm not that vulnerable, because being a stand-up comedian, you have to kind of be in control. You have to kind of be this witty, snarky.
Of course you do.
Yeah, but so I was saying, you really got to be open as a stand-up. I don't know if that's true.
Let me amend that.
Okay.
You it's relative. You're more vulnerable than maybe a lot of the other comics. So it's relative. But
I still go.
There's still a barrier that you haven't gotten to, right? There's still a place where you could go, where you could break through.
Yeah.
But the depressing thing is the audience would already have to be there and know your voice, and then you could do it. Because when you go on at the store in the main room, you don't want to show your ass. You want to have a great set and kill it.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not like I. That's why
I did show my ass though the last time. I'm going to be in the main room tonight, by the way. If you're watching this live, I'll be in the main room in the Comedy Store here in Los Angeles tonight. My spot is at 10:30, so if you're around, come on down. I think the show starts at 9. But we should go to a phone call. This is a good time to go to a phone call. So if you guys want to leave a message for the show, it's 424-262-0904. If you want to leave a message to us, comment, message, whatever, 424-262-0904. And here's our first message. Here we go.
Eddie, Steve, how are you? This is Josh calling from New York. Just want to let you know that the last podcast was great. I've been listening to you guys. Well, Eddie, I've been listening to you. I've listened to every single podcast you put out. I've probably seen every bit of comedy on the internet that you have out. I think you're probably the top 5 comics in the world right now. But anyway, I just want to let you guys know that you're really hitting your stride with this podcast. I think, Steve, you're really growing on me, and I give you a lot of credit for, really wearing your emotions on your sleeve and getting vulnerable about that girl that broke your heart. And I thought it was a great podcast. And Eddie, I thought you were pretty hysterical at certain points. I was laughing out loud when you. I think it was like some kind of remark that Steve said the podcast should be, there'd be a lot of crying, but you said we still got to do a podcast. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was hysterical. But you guys are doing great. Just wanted to comment, and sorry if I'm rambling on. All right, speak to you later.
How about that for a nice call?
Thanks, Josh.
By the way, that's the kind of call you should leave. Something that bolsters me and Steve.
Even if you have to lie.
Lie. You lie to your children, don't you? We are your children. You are parenting us out there. Okay? You're parenting us. There are some people who are so good at parenting.
I forgot about that.
Comedians are just so insecure.
I forgot about that crying show. That is good. I'm glad he reminded us of we could just bring someone on and have them cry. We all cry. Just a crying.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I cry alone.
There's a whole segment of the population, though, like it's very male, I believe. Chris Hedges, I always quote him. I think maybe hyper masculinity, but these guys don't. They don't want to hear about that shit. It's like, don't give in. And I get it, too. Like, there's some good to be learned from, look, don't fucking, you keep going. You fucking fight. Right. You know what I mean? You fight. You fight. You don't fucking wimp out or cry and stuff. But I think particularly in your car. I'm always an advocate for crying in your car here in L.A.
I cry alone. I do cry. But I don't do it in front of other people.
You don't cry in front of other people?
No. I'm way too insecure for that.
I like to cry at parties.
when this is what happens, so because I've been to some parties with Eddie. What happens is the host will say, we need people to leave. And Eddie will start to cry in the middle of the living room, loud. And then everyone will. And then if that doesn't work, they put on Lenny Bruce. That was what my uncle said. He said, we used to put on Lenny Bruce at the end of the party when we wanted people to leave.
Oh, that's right. I think we should. So let's now read an ad. We have a lot of great sponsors here at PepTalks, and this first one, I'll read the first one. It's from our first sponsor has been with us from the start, and they're an amazing actors group. The founder of this company is just dedicated. We were talking before the show started, not to brag that me and Steve have conversations off the air, but we were talking about how when I first got into acting, it was all about being an artist, being an artist and expressing myself, and like I wanted to change the world through being a great actor. And now all I care about are my residuals. But this group takes it back to the artistry. It's called the Chatsworth Actors Guild, and they've been a sponsor for a while. And
we haven't had an ad from them in a while.
No, but we have one today, and we want to thank Matt Rasamoto, one of our producers, who
he just got a big gig.
Yeah, and he writes these. Mel Gibson got his start in Hollywood by sneaking onto the set of Xanadu, disguised as an apple box. Francis Coppola killed the grip on the Belle of New York and assumed his identity. It's tough to break into Hollywood, and it's not enough to be a great actor. You need to know how to sneak onto sets, bribe security guards, make fake IDs, and how to use lye, L-Y-E, to dissolve a body in the shower of a honey wagon. A lot of these are inside terms. An apple box, for those of you who aren't in show business. And by the way, if you're not in show business, you're a coward. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you're not in show business, you're a coward. I don't care what you do. First responder, whatever. You're a fucking coward. Because we in show business, we know what it's like. And an apple box is something that you stand on to make, give you some height. And a honey wagon is where they keep the actors while they're waiting to go on sets. Since 1986, the Chatsworth Actors Guild Learning Annex has been helping people just like you break into this industry by any means necessary. And I think you know who said that. That was Bert Convy. Did you know the movie Terminator was based on the real-life story of how Michael Bay eventually makes enough money from the Transformers franchise to build a time machine, go back in time, and make those shitty Transformer movies? Time travel is quite possibly one of the techniques you can learn at the Chatsworth Actors Guild Learning Annex. To find out more, see our offices located at the Pomona Fairplex KOA Campground between lot numbers 104 and 115. Let me repeat that. Our offices are at the Pomona Fairplex KOA Campground between lot numbers 104 and 115. Look for a nondescript man. You will know him when you see him. Bring $500 in cash, a voided check, and your Social Security card. You may receive a packet in the mail in 4 to 8 weeks. Chatsworth Actors Guild Learning Annex. You have to want it.
Gosh.
You may receive. That was my favorite line. You may receive a packet in the mail in 4 to 8 weeks. What does KOA stand for? Do you know?
It's a campground. It's, you know what? Middle America people know.
I know. Do you know?
Yeah,
KOA?
it's a KOA campground. It's a place where people with trailers
I just wanted to know what KOA stands for.
Oh, I don't know what KOA stands for.
Pomona Fairplex KOA Campground between lot numbers 104 and 115. Also, I love look for a nondescript
You'll know
man.
him when you see him.
You'll know him when you see him. It's brilliant. Chatsworth Actors, they really are good, though. They really are
Would
very
you
good.
say they're our best sponsor?
I don't want to play favorites.
Yeah.
I don't want to get the people mad at Zuko beard ointment.
Yeah.
Or ice.
Yeah, Zippy
Ice or cream condoms. We have a lot of great sponsors here.
Yeah. We're very fortunate to have.
We're very fortunate. None of them have paid yet. None of them have paid us a dime. And that keeps us hungry. We have not made a dime yet.
I've gotten some money. But maybe I shouldn't say that. Shouldn't be talking about that.
So what were we? We were riffing, and that's what this podcast is. But we like to We like to riff. Oh yeah, I'm going to read I'll read a page from Fonte's Ask the
Totally
Desk.
random.
Margaret, turn it down. I don't want to have it spoiled. Al, he's just reading a paragraph. If anything, it would be a teaser. Margaret, I don't like to be teased. Al, this isn't a teasing where, you don't get something. It's not a bullying thing. It's a tease where it heightens your desire for something. You know how I tease you in bed, Al? Margaret, please don't bring up the bedroom right now. You know I'm having trouble getting an erection ever since the accident. Okay. An hour later, I come out refreshed, soothed, spirits high. I take the same route home, hurry past the high buildings, stroll along the fence, dawdle through the empty lot, taking note of God's handiwork in a line of palm trees near the alley, and so up to Olive Street, past the drab frame houses. What doth it profit a man if he gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul? And then that little poem, take all the pleasures of all the spheres, multiply them by endless years. 1 minute of heaven is worth them all. How true, how true. I thank thee, O heavenly light, for showing the way. That was a really nice paragraph, and he quoted a couple of things from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. I think that was Sermon on the Mount. I love sermons that are delivered from mounts. Do you know what I mean?
It's better than a flatland sermon.
A flatland sermon never really hits home,
It just feels like slavery. It feels like oppression. But on a mount.
On a mount, yeah.
It feels like...
but that was beautiful, and it's kind of an inspiration, if you gain the world, in other words, if you have tons of money, it's not worth losing your soul. Now, how would you describe soul, though, particularly in that context? I think it's kind of integrity, like your integrity, your like soul. It's really hard to define soul, isn't it?
Yeah.
James Brown was the king of soul.
He was.
But what does that mean? It means he fucking lived it. Like he that kind of expression was such an honest. I think it really has to do with honesty and integrity, because the world, especially in this like biblical context, is always compromising that. What do you think? How would you describe soul? I know I'm putting you on the spot. That'd be a funny game show. We
name that soul.
Just something like that. Like, welcome to penetrating soul. We ask you the tough questions here on. It'd have to be a whacked out name. Here on Flippers. Flip it.
Pry that soul out. What do I think the soul? I think it's who you are, knowing who you are. That's the soul. Because if you lose who you are...
But that's vague, who you are.
Well, it's soul.
What does that mean?
Soul is vague, too.
That's there it is. Now we're starting to chip away at this.
You forget who you are. You forget what's important to you. You compromise who you are. You compromise a part of yourself, and you never get it back, thinking you weren't lose it in the first place.
But it's really difficult because the world is such a pull. Like, it's such a pull between your integrity, honesty, your soul, if you will, and the pull of the world to survive, to achieve, to get status. You know what I mean? I mean, the Buddhists divide it. They say it's ego, the world, right?
But the ego can work sometimes. Sometimes your ego works.
I guess so. Yeah, that's a good point. I always,
It doesn't. Sometimes the ego's equipped to handle certain things, and then there's other more complex things the ego is not equipped.
By the way, I just had a flash, because this is kind of so luxurious to be able to like talk philosophy in a warm studio, and I'm just thinking of people, like a caveman. I'm sure this has been done, but like a caveman podcast, like we're talking about. No, it's the ego, as opposed to the soul. And meanwhile, when we were just surrounded by predators, or people who have just had horrible life circumstances.
I met a Holocaust survivor. I forgot to tell you that.
Really, where?
At a Hanukkah menorah lighting in Culver City, by where I live. I met this guy. Showed up. He was a Holocaust 93, 94, and
Did you see the tattoo?
Yeah, and he was so happy, and he was so happy. And I said, we talked about it, and he said, I knew everywhere to be, and that I should be here at this time and there at that time, and that's how I survived. I said, holy inspiration. He said, yeah. He was 12 years old, and he knew when to get off of which cart, train. Anyway, but that's not the point. The point is he was so happy, and I was about to weep, okay, as he was telling me this shit about Auschwitz. He was in Auschwitz, and he said a couple of illuminating things, but mainly he talked about it. He said, we had a family, my wife and I. Oh, my God, you got to be kidding me.
Is that you? Yeah,
that's
you.
God fucking with me. That's what that is.
I don't know.
Is that me?
Yeah. I mean, it's over there
We might as
where
well
your
just
knapsack is.
Yeah.
Steve, in the middle of an eloquent, in the middle of eloquently speaking about the Holy Spirit, his cell phone went off. The world went off.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So finish your thing.
So the guy was so happy. He said, we had a family. We had 2 kids. We had 2 sons and a daughter. We lost a son. And he was still smiling. And I was like, he said, but we had 2 children that lived, and they had nice lives. And I thought, this guy has seen the worst of humanity, and maybe one of the darkest points.
Yeah.
And everything's easy for him.
Right. Whereas I'm the type of guy, I haven't been through that kind of pain, and I'm the type of guy who, like, when there's a long line in the coffee shop, I'm like, motherfucker.
When your room's not ready at the fucking hotel.
Man.
I lost it
I
on
was
somebody.
a baby that day. Why was I so... Did we drive in? What did
No,
we
you
do?
flew.
I flew in.
And I warned you. I go, your room's not going to be ready.
Oh,
and you still...
my God. I
But
get
the lady,
so mad
the
when
lady,
things don't go my way.
But the lady escalated it, too, to be fair. The lady said...
Well, she picked up on my
yeah, she wanted it. She was
that's
like...
what happens when you ever, like, 2 guys, it can be dangerous. Like,
right.
You ever just fucking connect eyes with somebody who wants to fight, and you have that, like, shit too in you, like, oh really, you want to fucking, you know what I mean? It's, you got to be on top of your shit all
Most
the
of
time.
the time I back down, and if someone crazy locks eyes with me, I'm like, I don't know, not right now. I'm not prepared for this. But then sometimes if I'm in a really bad mood,
if you're in a
it's
really bad
once
mood.
in a great while, if I'm in a really bad mood, I'll look right back.
But what you're talking about with the Holocaust survivor that you met is perspective. It's perspective, which is kind of being able to see clearly. In other words, if you walk into a coffee shop with a long line, you don't go, God sucks. Because I immediately have a dialogue with God, like, thanks a lot, God, for fucking making this line long, It's like, no, you have a perspective about, like, okay, this is small potatoes,
Yeah, the coffee line. What coffee shops are you
I'm not going to say.
You need to...
We're going to have you read an ad now.
I'm so excited.
And this is a great sponsor. I think you'll agree.
Oh, Cream condoms. When we haven't had them in a while,
No,
Cream
we
condoms.
haven't.
And I use Cream condoms, even
I
though I
know you
haven't
do.
needed to in the past
you just
year.
use them because you want to make sure that thing is still working.
Yeah. You know what? I thought it was broken, and I thought the Cream condom could act as like a cast to heal the penis. Anyway, that didn't work. But let me take a second to talk about with the fellas out there. That means you and I are fellas, I think. Guys, it's damn near 2019, and sure, there are all sorts of gizmos on your phone to help you get the bone bent. But before you plunge tip to base into the nearest quivering pile of furry meat tapioca, you have to protect yourself. That's where Cream condoms, the world's first liquid condom, by the way, Eddie, comes in.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like this product. It's a liquid condom that you just that you spread on your member.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It goes on as smooth as a craft glue, and within a number of minutes, hardens to a texture best described as plaster and goat fuzz. When the burning stops, your gooey blood knuckle is ready for whatever regrettable delights the night may bring. And ladies admire a man who isn't afraid of a little danger, even if that danger is dipping their love crank into pure, unadulterated liquid science. Okay, women, it's safe to listen again. If you're looking for some fine grinding this holiday season, don't ride bareback. If you can shellac that shaft, order yourself a pint of cream condoms, and Santa won't be the only one cramming the old coal sock this Christmas.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful poetry from Matt Rasamoto. Who,
yes, and thank you, Cream Condoms, for being such a good sponsor and a good product. I recommend Cream Condoms, and I recommend you recommend them. All right, so did you say you had a couple of funny things happen to you this week, or am I remembering wrong?
Something happened.
Something happened.
I can't.
I've been performing my ass off. That's right. You broke out of your comedy slump.
I broke out of my comedy funk. Yeah, yesterday.
Funk.
Yeah. My problem was I couldn't think of what to say next. I'd get like a fear of what to say next, and I don't remember that.
Well, stand-up is also a balance of writing and being in the moment. Like, in other words, okay, you're going to go into a subject that you've been thinking about or writing about, preferably, even though I don't do it that way. Even though I do, I write about all kinds. I have a weird process, but it's like this little dance between preparedness and trusting.
Right.
What you were having a problem with was trusting that you were going to be able to come up with stuff.
No, trusting that I could have the courage to say. I wasn't having the courage to say what I really wanted to say, which are the things that I need to clear out of my mind. I need to clear stuff out of my mind that's blocking me. And it's simple shit like Jason Bateman being the only... I said something about I think I went on yesterday and I made fun of how men in my family only bond through football, talking about sports.
A lot of fathers and sons through sports.
Not even particularly funny, but I needed to say...
It's very funny.
And then the thing that nobody ever laughs at, which is how people play fantasy football. The NFL is fantasy football. That's fantasy. I can't play the NFL. Can you? No. I mean, maybe you can.
Me?
That's a fantasy. We're living vicariously through athletes who can do what we can't. If you need another fantasy on top of that, maybe you need to talk to somebody. But see, my friends and family, that hits too close to home because they all play fantasy football.
Oh, I know.
To fill a vacant...
a lot of friends who do that, too.
Yeah,
I have no interest
But that's funny, and nobody ever laughs. But anyway,
what's funny? What's funny?
That people need, if you need a fantasy on top of the NFL, you're filling something you're not going to fill there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, people do it for money. Gambling. I was never a gambler. Well, I was a gambler. I was a gambler for a bit, but I'm smarter than a lot of people, and I realized that gambling, you never win shit.
You figured that out?
Oh yeah, I figured that out because I was losing money.
Gambling on what?
I was gambling on football. I was gambling on. I was playing poker. I was young, I was in my mid-40s.
You had a problem.
That's young now.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're all gonna die, folks. By the way, I am closer than a lot of you, but we all are gonna die, and just remember that as you're picking up the groceries. No, but that is a big thing. Nobody ever talks about death.
Who wants to talk about death?
But by not talking about it, we give it this great fucking power.
It's still got the power, even if we talk about it. It's the final great mystery. Where you're going, what's going on,
of course you should talk about death. Because we hide it in this culture. You see dead bodies all over the place in India. You don't see them here. It's all hidden away, and old people are hidden away, except me. You know what I mean? Like the old people are hidden in fucking nursing homes or in the back rooms of their kids' houses, right?
You remind me of Annie Hall when he gets her the book. He goes, "I'm going to get you this denial of death because it's an important topic." Denial of death.
No, but we never talk about death because
it's not good for ratings. But who cares?
Death is like I could just see studio heads. Don't fucking talk about death on the podcast. Like our studio head. God damn it. Why do you always start talking about that everyone's going to die? Keep talking about the funny shit.
I try to change the subject to fantasy football.
Yeah. Well, no, that is a form of death.
That is a form of most.
I have a couple of good friends who play it, though, and they're very cool. So I don't know. I guess some people, like anything, some people can handle that shit. Some people can handle.
I like how happy my family is when they're talking about sports.
Yes. My dad too. Me and him only communicate through sports. Like when my mother was dying, I said, "Dad, it's 4th and 11 for Mom." Dad, it's 4th and 11, and we're playing the '86 Bears. Dad, it's 4th and 11, and the Giants' offensive line. We're from New York.
I love that it was the '86 Bears.
They were brutal. The '86. That team, because the Giants were good then, and we went into
you went to Soldier Field. I was 8, 9, but
okay, I don't know what I was, but I was watching. Yeah, I am an avid Giants, Ranger, Yankee fan.
26-0 in Soldier Field.
Was it 26 zip?
Yeah.
But the thing I remember is that it was fucking freezing, like Chicago gets.
Yeah, but they're New York. They could play in the cold.
Oh yeah, but there's the Chicago has a certain type of cold.
Right, off the lake.
It's just brutal. And it was one of those days, and the thing I remember most, like the futility that was the Giants, the thing I remember most was watching Sean Landeta, the Giants punter, in the end zone. He was punting from the end zone, and he just whiffed on the punt.
He saw the guys coming
out. Yeah, he saw the Bears destroyed the Giants. You know why we live through football? And it's fucked up because now there's an awareness, like everything, there's more and more awareness. Like there's more and more awareness about diet now. Like there's more and more people going vegan because more and more people understand the
poison food supply
and the torture of animals. And now people see that football is a place where these guys get hurt.
Never come back.
Well, these guys get all kinds of
head
brain injuries.
Dude.
And Landeta was scared of getting a brain injury. But why we love that shit, I guess men more than women, even though I know some women are big football fans, we love seeing, we live through, like you were saying, live through these people, like in the fantasy. We love seeing who we identify with, like beat the shit out of somebody.
Well, there's something true, too, about the competition. And that they really want to win. And so you're watching something honest. Unless the officials get involved.
There's a great jazz song. I don't know who did it, but it's like it's about the newspaper. The only place you'll get the truth is in the sports section. And it was about that was the only
who
honest.
Said that? That's so
I forget the musician who wrote that.
That's it.
We got some phone calls we got to get to. What minute are we at, Aaron?
48.
48, good. We're going good.
We got a couple more phone calls.
Yeah, that's what we want to get to. Here we go. Thank you for your phone calls, folks. They've been getting better and better. This one is a really nice phone call. And the number to call if you want to leave a message for the show is 424-262-0904. That's 424-262-0904. Here we go.
Hey, Eddie. This is Megan again. I called a couple weeks ago about Winter Splash. And I just had a question for you. I just wanted to know your opinion on something. I was commuting home earlier today. Actually, I'm still in the car, so was commuting home and I was listening to my favorite SiriusXM channel, Channel 5. Not to brag that I have that kind of lifestyle where I have the latest in music technologies. But anyways, a song came up, a very popular Christmas song, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Sleigh Ride. And it put a visual image in my head of, horse-drawn carriages. Now, you're an ethical vegan, and I am too. So I was wondering what you think about horse-drawn carriages during the holiday season. I personally think it's kind of messed up, and, I'm not quite on board with it, literally and, figuratively. But I was just wondering what your opinion was. Also, several months ago when you did a show in San Francisco, I brought you vegan eggs because on your Instagram you had mentioned that you needed an egg substitute. So I brought you some, but you never came out to see your fans. Number one, what the fuck? Number two, I hope you got it because I gave it to somebody that said that they worked for you. Hopefully they weren't lying. But anyways, I hope that you received it, and I hope all is well, and happy holidays or some shit. Bye.
Megan, thank you. Yes. By the way, that was in San Francisco. Yeah, I did the punchline. I think that's what Megan is referring to. I did the punchline, and they have a green. So after the I do 2 sets a night, Friday, Saturday, and after the set, I usually do come out and see people, but sometimes, and I apologize for this, Megan, sometimes I'm a little like I put out so much for the set that sometimes I just need to breathe in the green room, just to breathe and chill the fuck out. I can't take
decompression.
Yeah, decompression. But other times I'm super social and like to meet people, but there are just times where I'm like, okay, I can't do it. And did I get the vegan egg? Now that I just love that, by the way, a vegan egg. I think, now you correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, but is that like the egg powder, like the vegan egg substitute? That, I mean, it couldn't actually be a vegan egg.
I mean, you would remember if you got anything like that.
I think I did get it. It was a while ago now. But anyway, thank you so much. And about the horse-drawn carriages, I fucking hate them. I hate horse-drawn carriages. And there's been, first of all, I was watching. I have gotten so compassionate with animals being a vegan. I always loved animals. But then getting into veganism and just realizing that, holy shit, there's something about not eating animals that makes you more in touch with all of it. I don't know what that is.
So what you're saying is these creatures, you're seeing these creatures as being used to just serve us.
Absolutely. And horses are a so-called beast of burden. Horses, ox.
What does that mean? I've heard that in the Rolling Stones.
Well, they're just used by us to either race for money, or, they've been used throughout history, to pull things, and fucking, what's brutal is, I didn't know about it, but how they were used in war, in World War I particularly, and there was that movie.
A War Horse, yeah.
And they were just
slaughtered.
They're slaughtered in wars. They've been slaughtered throughout history, obviously, but
since the military-industrial complex escalated, though, we haven't
weaponry.
Now we just grind them up and turn them into.
But it really gets me that somehow we have dominion over creatures. Instead of why do we get to do that to horses? And the carriages, they collapse because of the heat in the summer and the holiday season. It just sucks for them. They're just. They're just abused. And I'm sure, and I've met a couple of, I think I've met, I used to wait tables just before I was a vegan, waiting tables in New York. I met these Irish dudes who were drivers of these horse-drawn carriages, and they were like, no, we treat them great. We treat them great, And that's what they all say, until they collapse in the street. So I just hate seeing horses used like that. You know what I mean? to fucking take people around on rides, you know. It's brutal. And I was watching the Coen Brothers movie on Netflix. Have you seen it? I think it's The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
I haven't seen it yet.
It is awesome, but I can't watch, the horses now.
Right.
Like there was scenes, and I guess they cannot hurt animals in filming, so I guess this was done, hopefully CGI or whatever. But there were scenes where horses were just falling or shot and stuff like, and I just can't. It's like tough to watch. I have to always say to myself, it's a movie. It's not happening. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
I never even have thought about it.
But thank you, Megan. And, I don't want to brag, but I love Channel 5, too. Let's see. What do we got? We got another message. We want to get through to our messages. Here we go. Ready? This is Liz, who's called a few times. She's great. Here we go.
Hi, Eddie. It's Liz from San Francisco again, calling in again. Thanks so much for your last advice. And I just want to get your thoughts on a difficult situation with a neighbor. And just to give you the situation, I've lived in my condo for about 10 years, and I've always played the piano. And until about 6 months ago, it was never a problem until this new neighbor moved in downstairs from me. And now I just get this feeling that she hates me playing. So like last Sunday afternoon when I was playing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she came up and actually knocked at my door and said, "Can you please stop playing?" And I'm trying to be nice about it. Like I actually emailed her and said I had a performance this week. That's the other thing. I'm perform sometimes, so I kind of need to play. And I emailed her this past week and said, I have a performance this week. What are good times for you when you might be out of your apartment and I could play? And she actually said, this week doesn't work for me at all. So it's basically like I feel like she's being completely inflexible, and I'm not sure how to still be a good, friendly neighbor, but I'm kind of losing my patience with her. So I just wanted to get your feedback. Thanks so much for your show, and thanks for all you do. Okay, bye.
Oh. Thanks, Liz. What do you think about that?
Dude,
I would
go tell her. I wouldn't tell her anything. I just play. I would just play. Yeah, like you came
Liz
at it with
sounds
such
so damn
loving
sweet.
kindness.
Right. Now that's all I want from a neighbor, by the way. Like what I can't stand is when neighbors do loud shit and they do it without saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah.
So, hey, are you cool with it? They do that, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a caring, concerned person, Right. And a piano isn't a drum, like playing the drums.
Yeah.
Like because I lived under Keith Moon for a while back in the 60s.
I've been here long enough. I can see these. I can see him coming now.
He was a pain in the ass. No, but so especially Liz, if you like emailed her and said, hey, when is a good time? And she was like, nothing works for me this week. Like, first of all, she needs to get out of the fucking apartment.
She got other problems than your piano, Liz.
Yeah.
She's got other problems.
Yeah. Oh, man. So
tough,
so
though.
you would just play.
Yeah.
And that's wild, too, that Liz hasn't had a problem for 10 years until 6 months ago. That means to me that she's pretty considerate, the way she plays, when she plays. If she could do it for 10 years without having a problem.
Aren't you glad? I always think as a comedian how hard it is to go out in public and perform. But aren't you glad? You probably do rehearse at home loud, don't you? Do you just?
Are you serious?
I'm
That's
kidding.
hilarious.
Wouldn't that be
that
great?
Would be
that
funny
would be
if I'm walking around my apartment
2 o'clock
going,
on a
where are
Sunday.
you from? And my wife is like, I'm from fucking Connecticut. So, Liz, what's difficult, though, and we're kind of glossing over it, is that you have to live with this person. That's, like you said, I would just play, but, it's upsetting if this fucking woman is going to be in Liz's face or complaining to, I don't know, it's a condo, she said, so there's a board, you
could bake her a cake, too. You could, send her a gift or something nice for the holidays, but play.
Yeah.
Continue to play.
Yeah. If you have to play, especially for
You got a
performing.
show, yeah.
Performing, you know. Where do you play, Liz? We should come and see you. Okay, we have another. And anyway, thank you again, Liz, for that call. I don't know. Have we addressed it?
Yeah.
Like she should play for sure.
Well, what do you is that what you think as well, or?
Yeah. I think, you know, saying to the woman, you know, hey, you know, I perform and then. You have to, if you're like, you have to let people live too, you know? You have to let people live. I mean, you don't want people to step on you. And
well, this goes back to our conversation earlier about the alpha male, you know, the when do you put up your fists? When do you go, you know, I'm not going to take any shit. Sometimes you got to do that, you know?
All right, so we have another. This one is funny. This one came in. I think today. Okay, here we go.
Hey, this is Bert Sugar. How dare you say I'm dead? I'm still alive. And I'm going to live many more years. No thanks to you.
That was it. That was Bert. He said, "This is Bert Sugar." And remember when I was doing that thing last week? I was saying I like typewriters because it goes clack, 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 and I see myself like Bert Sugar, the boxing writer, you know. And then I said, is Bert Sugar still alive? I don't think so. And so that's Bert Sugar saying he's still alive. Now, I was listening to that. Was that a guy doing an imitation, or was that Bert Sugar?
That was Bert Sugar.
It could have been.
It was.
Really?
And
you really think so?
I think it was so nice of him to call and give us.
I'm sure it was a guy doing an imitation.
It was,
but that was hilarious. I love that. Oh, we just had a call, but they didn't leave a voicemail, I don't think, or it's not come through. Those are our calls for the week, and I think we have one more ad that I will read. It's not really an ad, but an imploration to implore. To implore. Here we go. Rate us on iTunes, folks. Hey, if you like this podcast, why not click the like button? Rate us on iTunes and or subscribe to our YouTube. Listen, I know I'm asking a lot for you. Pushing like on a mobile device can seem damn near Herculean. And typing a review, why, that could take as long as this commercial break. People did really give us some nice reviews. Nero Gunderson, who's great. One of the great podcasts. Thank you. Todd Silas, another great guy. I met Todd in Denver. I put off getting a flu shot to listen to this. Sophie Salmasa, another great fan. Always a treat. I was having a bad day, and you both cheered me up. Thank you. And then someone, 20 the Gee 07, said, a quilt work of terror. And as always, if you are going to write something up, try writing it using WriterDuet. Seriously, if you sign up using the link in the description, we get a little bit of money. We haven't seen any yet. It's not much money, so I need everyone to do it. Don't tell, but I'm trying to save enough to get Steven a pony for Christmas. So please rate us on iTunes. And any parting words? Do you have anything to promote?
I did book something, but I can't remember the date. It's going to be somewhere.
So there's that. Steve booked something and he can't remember the date. So it's up to you to find out where the fuck Steve is going to be.
You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
You're a pro.
I'm at the Comedy Store, main room tonight. That's December 12th. Are we on the 12th, right? And I am going to be at the Comedy Store again on the main room Friday, December 14th here in Los Angeles. And I'll be at the Improv Lab Friday the 14th at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock at the Improv Lab, 9 o'clock at the Comedy Store. They're very close clubs to each other. And I'm also going to be doing a show, Liam McEnany's show, The Clubhouse, on Vermont, and that is tomorrow night at Mark Brazil's going to be on
Brazil,
that.
Right.
The great Mark Brazil. And that'll be tomorrow night the 13th. I believe that's a 9 o'clock show at the Clubhouse on Vermont Avenue here in Los Angeles in Los Feliz. It's in a shopping mall where all good happens in Los Angeles and throughout America in shopping malls. What else, Stephen?
Did you see anything funny on the street?
Did I see anything funny on the street? I'm trying to think no, I didn't.
No, me neither.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thanks to All Things Comedy. Our producer, Matt Rasamoto, who writes our commercials. Aaron here, engineering, and Emma, engineering, and All Things Comedy. Go to All Things Comedy for your podcast needs. Rate us on iTunes. And thank you, YouTube, and we'll see you next week. Happy holidays, everybody.